You might believe the worst pain is betrayal. But it isn't. The real agony is kissing lips that just touched another man, holding a body that no longer belongs to you, and not even realizing it. Many men convince themselves her distance is stress, or age, or simply routine. But the truth is far harsher. Women rarely admit, but they always reveal. And if you miss those signals, you unknowingly become the quiet accomplice in your own humiliation. That's why today I'm going to reveal 8 signs that expose when a woman has just slept with someone else. Signs most men ignore, until it's too late. And the last one? That's the nail in the coffin, the one she cannot hide no matter how hard she tries. Before I walk you through these 8 signs, take a second to subscribe and hit like. Also, let me know in the comments which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this message spreads. Because betrayal speaks the same language, no matter where you live. Now let's get back to it. The first sign is subtle, silent, and it's the one that quietly destroys more men than they realize. Number 1. The cold silence of her body. There's a silence that doesn't come from words, it comes from the body. When you've been with a woman long enough, you recognize it. You know when her touch has weight, when her kiss has warmth, when her body reaches for you without asking. And you also know when that current suddenly dies. This is one of the hardest signs to face because it doesn't scream, it whispers. You lean in to kiss her, and she turns her head slightly. You touch her shoulder in bed, and instead of melting, she stiffens. She says she's tired, but her body isn't heavy with exhaustion, it's heavy with indifference. And that difference matters. Tiredness recovers with rest. Indifference never does. Here's the truth most men won't admit. When a woman has been satisfied by someone else, she doesn't come back hungry, she comes back full. And satisfaction leaves no room for you. It's like trying to relight a fire that's already burned out. No matter how many matches you strike, the wood stays cold. That's exactly what it feels like when her body has already been elsewhere. The mistake most men make here is denial. You tell yourself it's just stress. It's age. It's what happens in long relationships. But no, attraction doesn't die from time. It dies when it shifts to another source. If she used to pull you close after work but now rolls away, that's not routine. That's a signal. So what do you do with this? You don't beg. You don't push harder. You watch. You test. Instead of chasing, you step back. See whether the distance shrinks on its own or widens further. A woman who still wants you will eventually reach again. A woman who's already given herself away will let the silence grow. Your job isn't to force her body to respond. Your job is to recognize when the response is gone. That realization hurts, but it's freeing. Because once you stop lying to yourself, you stop wasting energy on a flame someone else has already put out. And here's the thing, if her body doesn't speak to you anymore, the truth won't stay hidden. Because when her touch goes silent, her habits begin shouting. If you don't notice it in her skin, you'll notice it in her routines. Number 2, the cleansing ritual. When a woman has been with another man, she doesn't come home smelling of betrayal, she comes back smelling too fresh. A new perfume that wasn't there before. A shower that takes far longer than usual. Clothes swapped for no reason. Underwear changed in a way that doesn't fit the day. On the surface it looks like self-care. But in reality, it's cover-up. This is what I call the erasing ritual. She isn't just cleaning her body. She's trying to scrub her conscience. And most men overlook it, because they want to. You tell yourself she just likes to feel clean, or she's experimenting with scents. That's how you gaslight yourself, because the darker truth is she's removing traces of someone else before you notice. She knows her body tells stories. Skin carries scents. Hair holds traces. Clothes remember contact. So she scrubs, she sprays, she hides the evidence under soap and lavender. And the irony is, the more she erases, the louder it becomes. That sudden obsession with hygiene isn't random. It's a pattern. Now let me be clear. Not every long shower equals betrayal. That's not the point. The point is change. If she never rushed to the bathroom after work before, but suddenly does. If she starts guarding her laundry like it's classified, you pay attention. Psychology isn't about absolutes. It's about noticing shifts, things that don't match the rhythm of who she was with you. So, what's the move? Stop excusing the inexcusable. Don't laugh it off. Don't pat yourself on the back thinking, at least she's taking care of herself. No. Observe. Connect the dots. If this ritual repeats, if it's always followed by that too perfect smile, you already know. The mistake men make is ignoring both their nose and their gut. You smell the perfume but call it fragrance instead of deception. You see the overcleanliness and label it self-growth. That's how you become an accomplice in your own replacement. The solution? Awareness. When the pattern shows up, you don't rage. You don't accuse. You simply see. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that clarity changes how you show up. But hygiene is only the surface. Because even if her body is clean, her emotions have nowhere to hide. And guilt always leaks out sideways. Number 3, the blame game, unjustified irritation. When guilt grows too heavy for her to carry, she doesn't confess it. She transfers it. Suddenly you're the problem. You walk in the door, and instead of a hello, you get a complaint. You loaded the dishwasher wrong. You're too quiet. Or too loud. Whatever you do, it's not enough. That irritation isn't random, it's strategy. Here's the psychology. If she paints you as the villain, she doesn't have to feel like the betrayer. In her head, she rewrites the story. She didn't cross the line because she wanted to, she did it because you were inattentive, controlling, boring. This is projection at its sharpest. She can't handle the conflict inside herself, so she shoves it onto you. The trap most men fall into is defending themselves. You argue. You explain. You try to reason. But you can't outlogic guilt. The more you defend, the more ammo she gets to keep painting you as the bad guy. And suddenly, you're walking on eggshells in your own home. The shift? Stop playing defense. You don't need to win arguments, you need to protect your dignity. Next time she snaps over something ridiculous, don't rise to the bait. Don't beg. Don't debate. Just look at her and calmly say, "You don't need to fight to justify what you've already decided." Then step back. Not out of weakness, but strength. That one move flips the script. Because when you don't play the role she assigned you, her play collapses. And the guilt lands where it belongs, on her. You, meanwhile, take back your emotional ground. Men often ask, isn't silence weak? No. Weakness is letting someone bait you into chaos. Strength is control. You're not ignoring the issue, you're refusing to be manipulated by it. That's the difference between being drained and standing tall. But projection isn't the final mask. There's another battlefield where the truth leaks out, one no excuse can cover. Her body itself. Number 4, the body doesn't lie. A woman can rehearse her excuses. She can mask her moods. She can polish her story until it sounds flawless. But her body? She can't control it. And here's where most men betray themselves. Not because they don't notice, but because they refuse to admit what they see. You know her rhythms. You know her warmth. You know her reactions. That's why when something changes, you feel it, even if you don't want to. Maybe she feels unusually tense, or strangely relaxed. Maybe her responsiveness has shifted, exaggerated one moment, absent the next. Sometimes subtle, sometimes obvious, but never random. And here's the cruel part, you don't need to be a doctor to recognize it. You just need to be honest. Most men explain it away. Maybe it's hormones. Maybe it's stress. Sure, those things happen. But when the change is sudden, when it doesn't match her usual rhythm, you owe it to yourself to pay attention. Because ignoring what your senses already caught is the fastest way to humiliate yourself. The mistake is thinking pretending everything's fine will save the relationship. It won't. It just delays the collapse. A body that's been with another man carries an imprint. Not always visible, but always felt. And when you sense it yet stay silent, You're lying more to yourself than she is to you. So, what do you do? First, stop running from intuition. If something feels wrong, let yourself register it. Second, stop overcompensating. Men often respond by trying harder, more affection, more effort in bed, more patience, as if effort can fix what's already gone. It can't. You don't win desire back by pouring effort into it. You win by recognizing when it's gone. Practical step? Instead of chasing her body, step into clarity. If intimacy feels wrong, scale back. Observe. Don't accuse. Just notice. That awareness becomes your shield. Because if you ignore your senses, you're not strong, you're scared. Strength isn't denial. Strength is facing what you already know, even when it burns. But guilt doesn't always show up as coldness. Sometimes, to patch the cracks, she swings the other way. Too warm. Too affectionate. Too tender, so much it feels unreal. And that's because it is. Number 5. Excessive affection, the theater of guilt. Not all betrayal comes wrapped in coldness. Sometimes it shows up cloaked in kisses, hugs, and sudden sweetness. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake guilt for love. This is one of the cruelest tricks, because it plays directly on your hope. You felt her slipping away. You sensed the silence. Then suddenly, she's kissing your cheek, whispering, "I love you," looking at you with watery eyes. And your heart wants to believe it's real. You think, she's coming back to me. But she isn't. She's trying to come back to herself. That affection isn't for you. It's for her conscience. Here's the psychology. After crossing the line, many women don't pull away. They move closer. Not because they've rediscovered desire, but because they need to soothe guilt. Touching you, cooking for you, saying sweet words, it's all part of the act. Not to keep you happy, but to keep her from drowning in self-disgust. The mistake men make? Treating this affection as a second chance. You drop your guard. You stop noticing. You sigh in relief. And that's when you lose all leverage. You become the safe harbor she uses to ease guilt, while her passion burns somewhere else. So what's the move? Test the source. Ask yourself, does this affection come consistently, or only in waves after unexplained absences? Does she touch you with true desire, or with obligation? Does her tenderness feel warm, or rehearsed? Don't reward guilty affection. Don't let her wipe her conscience on your shoulders. You don't need hugs born from betrayal. What you need is honesty, even if it's cold. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is this: "I'd rather have your silence than your guilty embrace." That statement isn't for her, it's for you. It's how you reclaim your self-respect in the face of false tenderness. Because the truth is, love doesn't need theater. Real connection doesn't arrive only after guilt. If her affection feels more like an apology than desire, you already know the difference. And once you know, you can't go back to pretending. But if you keep accepting her guilty affection, the next stage is even worse. Because she won't just hold you without desire. She'll stay beside you while her mind drifts miles away. Number 6. Emotional absence in intimacy. There's a difference between a body beside you and a soul with you. And once you feel that difference, you can never unfeel it. This is where betrayal cuts deepest, not because of what she gives, but what she withholds. She gives you her body, but not herself. Picture this. You're in bed. Everything looks normal. She touches you. She moves. She even moans. But something's missing. Her eyes are empty. Her energy isn't syncing with yours. She's there physically, but mentally she's somewhere else, reliving a memory that doesn't include you. That isn't intimacy. That's theater. Here's the brutal truth. A woman who's emotionally absent during intimacy is already gone. You're not making love, you're acting in her cover-up. Men who ignore this always tell themselves the same lie. She's just tired. She's stressed. But you know the difference. Tiredness still allows presence. Stress still allows connection. This isn't stress. It's absence. The mistake most men make? Pushing harder. Thinking, If I try more, she'll come back. So you give more affection, more patience, more effort. But the harder you push, the further she drifts, because her passion isn't missing. It's burning elsewhere. So what's the answer? Stop chasing ghosts. Respect yourself enough to notice when her soul isn't with you. Pull back. Say less. Don't confuse physical presence with emotional connection. Here's a simple step. Next time you feel that absence, don't cover it with more effort. Pause. Look at her. And tell yourself the truth. I'm not here to beg for connection. I'm here to see reality. That mindset shift alone changes everything. It stops you from being the man desperately reviving a bond that's already buried. Because lying next to a woman who isn't truly there isn't love, it's humiliation. And if you allow that humiliation to settle, the next sign will expose it out in the open. Because she won't just leave you emotionally absent in bed, she'll start leaving you physically absent in time. Number 7, the late returns, empty excuses. When love is alive, time bends to make room for it. A woman who still wants you will always find her way back, even on the busiest days. But when her fire's gone, suddenly the clock turns against you. She's late. Again. And every excuse grows thinner. She says work ran long. Her phone died. A friend needed her. At first, you believe it. Because yes, life gets messy. But when mess becomes a pattern, when lateness becomes routine, it's not about life. It's about priority. And you're no longer top of the list. Psychology behind it? Lateness isn't just lost time, it's a test. She's measuring how much you'll tolerate. Will you question it? Will you push back? Or will you accept less while hoping for more? Every time you let it slide, you train her. You teach her your dignity is negotiable. The mistake most men make is silence. You see the pattern, you feel the sting, but you swallow it. You tell yourself, if I say something, I'll seem insecure. But insecurity isn't asking for respect. Insecurity is pretending not to notice. So what's the move? Call it for what it is. Not with yelling. Not with begging. With boundaries. Next time she strolls in late with another flimsy excuse, don't interrogate. Don't demand details. Simply look at her and say, you weren't here. And that tells me everything I need to know. Then let the silence sit. That silence has more weight than any argument, because it places the responsibility where it belongs, on her choices. Practical step? Track the pattern, not the excuse. Don't dissect every detail of her stories. Pay attention to frequency, tone, and your gut. Patterns reveal truth even when words don't. And here's the harsh reality. A woman who still chooses you will always return. Maybe late once or twice, sure, but not as a habit. If she stops coming back to you, it's because she's already returning to someone else. But lateness is only half the story. Because even when she tries to cover it, her own words eventually betray her. And when her story collapses under contradictions, that's when the truth breaks wide open. Number 8. The collapse of her story. Stories are fragile things. They can be rehearsed, polished, and repeated. But under pressure, they crack. When a woman crosses the line, her story eventually collapses on itself. You've seen it. She comes home late, words tumbling too quickly, details shifting each time she retells it. One night it was a coworker. Next time, a last-minute errand. You notice the gaps, the timelines that don't match, the way her tone doesn't align with her words. And most of all, you notice her eyes. They no longer hold your gaze. They flicker, dart, drop. That's not stress. That's deception straining to stay upright. The mistake men make? Demanding airtight proof. Evidence. A smoking gun. But the truth doesn't always come with receipts. It comes in inconsistencies. It comes in stories unraveling the more she tells them. So, what's the move? Stop playing detective. You don't need court-level evidence. You already have the signs, the silences, the changes, the patterns. When her story collapses, you don't argue with it. You step out of it. You don't beg her to make it make sense. You don't scream for confessions. You simply decide, I don't believe you. And I don't need to anymore. That's not accusation, that's boundary. And here's the empowering shift. Once you stop demanding explanations, you reclaim your power. You stop being the man chasing clarity from someone who thrives on confusion. You become the man who draws the line. And that line is simple: respect, or nothing. Practical step? Practice quiet recognition. The next time her story wobbles, don't fill the silence with questions. Let it fall. Don't rescue her from her own contradictions. That silence is your ally. Understand this: you don't need to scream, cheater, to regain dignity. All you need is clarity and the courage to act. Because once her story collapses, the truth is no longer the question. The only question left is yours. Will you keep lying to yourself? Or will you stand as the man you know you are? That's the final cut. Because after these 8 signs, the real question isn't whether she betrayed you, it's whether you'll betray yourself by staying blind. You've just heard the 8 signs. Let's be clear, this isn't about turning you into a paranoid detective hunting for tiny details. It's about opening your eyes so you stop betraying yourself. Because the harshest betrayal isn't what she does in secret, it's what you allow yourself to ignore in plain sight. The goal here isn't catching her red-handed. The goal is reclaiming your dignity, your boundaries, and your power as a man who refuses to settle for less than he deserves. These signs aren't just clues of infidelity, they're warnings. Warnings that something is off. Something that must be addressed. Ignoring them only costs you more of your self-respect. Now here's the truth most men miss: not every sign guarantees betrayal. Sometimes distance is stress, exhaustion, or years of poor communication. That's why your role isn't to accuse, it's to test, observe, and face reality head-on. If there's space to repair, you repair. You talk. You reset boundaries. You fight for connection. But if the evidence stacks, if every sign confirms what your gut already knows, then the most masculine move is to walk away with dignity intact. Because love is never worth the price of self-respect. So here's my challenge: pick one situation in your life where you ignored your own instincts. Maybe her sudden coldness. Maybe her constant irritation. Maybe her stories that never added up. Don't ignore it this time. Face it. Decide whether it's reparable, or the end of the line. Either way, the decision belongs to you, not to her lies, not to your fears. Before you go, hit subscribe, tap like, and share this video with a man still blind to what's right in front of him. And in the comments, share your story. Have you ever noticed one of these signs? How did you handle it? Because your story might be the one that wakes another man up before it's too late. This isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of reclaiming what was always yours. Your self-respect, your clarity, and your freedom to choose love without ever losing yourself.